Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about my favorite comics of 2025, not necessarily of everything that I read in 2025, but specifically like new releases. So not necessarily kind of like the back issues or old trades that I also read. This is like newer stuff, what I really enjoyed from the past year. So the barometer is, of course, me, my opinion, but also I am mainly a DC reader. I read a little bit of Marvel, and unfortunately, not a lot of the other companies. I do need to do better about that, about checking out non-superhero stuff. I like superheroes, I like DC. So most of what we're going to talk about in this video is DC. I just wanted to kind of let everybody know that before we got into the list. Also, the list isn't necessarily like a ranking, like this isn't like a worst to best kind of situation. I have it organized in a way that made sense in my brain and kind of kept like things together. But let's just get into it. So the first thing that I have is my one Marvel book for the video. This is Magik. Magik got a new series last year. I have not read the whole series. I have just read this first trade. The second trade is coming out in a month, I think. So I'm excited to read the rest of it. But I got this because of Marvel Rivals. And I imagine Marvel Rivals is part of why she got a solo series, because I think Psylocke got a solo series around the same time that I did buy that first trade of, but I still need to read the Psylocke book. But I read Magik and I really enjoyed it. I think she's a great character. It was really great to be introduced to Dani Moonstar, who is a supporting player in this. She's also a New Mutant like Magik. And I thought she was great, and I really loved their relationship. And I think this is just a really solid story. Next up, we're going to be talking about Absolute Wonder Woman. So Absolute Wonder Woman started at the end of 2024, but this first arc, The Last Amazon, concluded early 2025, and then has continued on throughout the year. So this is kind of just a general Absolute Wonder Woman as a series. I'm just using the first trade, as a visual reference. I have adored this series. I think it is the best of the Absolute universe, and by a lot, like not even much of a competition in my opinion. Like I do think Absolute Wonder Woman is just the peak of that universe. I love this characterization of Diana. I think it is really terrific and something that I don't think the rest of the Absolutes quite get to, in that it is a reinvention. It is a totally new and wild take, and yet it feels completely quintessentially Wonder Woman, which I think is a crazy balancing act that Kelly Thompson manages every issue. And yeah, this is stellar stuff with stellar art. Keeping with Wonder Woman, I would also include the mainline Wonder Woman series in my favorites list. I know that's somewhat controversial. I know there are people, particularly in the online comic space, who really hate Tom King and really hate Tom King's Wonder Woman run. I have generally really quite enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the big Sovereign saga that ended in 2025. So I would count that as, part of my list of favorite stuff of 2025. I thought that was really epic and cool and awesome. And I loved all of it a lot. And then he followed that up with this really cool 2-part like murder mystery on Mount Olympus, and really enjoyed this, really loved this. The year for Wonder Woman sort of concluded with the Mouse Man arc, and I was a bit more on the internet side about the Mouse Man arc. I wasn't as crazy about that. But the end of the Sovereign arc and this 2-part murder mystery, I really loved, and it's some of my favorite stuff that I read last year. Sticking with Tom King, we also have Black Canary, Best of the Best. This also kind of started in late 2024, but wrapped up in 2025, and obviously the trade came out in 2025. I was really excited for Black Canary to get a solo book. She doesn't get enough of those. She's often relegated to just being a Green Arrow sidekick. which is unfortunate. This is, of course, by Tom King. Apologies for another Tom King book. I really enjoy his writing for the most part. This is a great concept. I love that it's ostensibly just kind of a boxing movie. It's really simple, but really emotionally driven and exciting. And the art is just awesome. It's by Ryan Sook, and it looks incredible. The ending didn't quite land for me. The final issue I thought was a bit of a miss. But for the most part, I think this is really worth checking out, even if you're not super familiar with Black Canary. Next, we're going to talk about Green Arrow. Green Arrow in 2025 was, of course, the Chris Condon run, which I have pretty thoroughly enjoyed. It unfortunately was canceled. This is the final issue that came out in December. And that's a specific issue I kind of wanted to highlight because it did legitimately move me. I think this is a great, great issue. Condon's run on Green Arrow was great. It's a shame that it just didn't grab readers for whatever reason. It just couldn't seem to sell. But I think it's great, and definitely check it out if you can find the trades or the single issues anywhere. I recommend it. It's really fun. Next, we have Krypto, the super dog. This was part of the Summer of Superman kind of initiative. And of course, Krypto is in the Superman movie, so they gave him a little mini-series. And writer Ryan North is now a personal enemy for life because this was shockingly a very sad book. I was expecting something kind of cute and fun, and there are moments of that, but it is also a very traumatizing book. It's very intense at times. One of the issues legitimately comes with a trigger warning of how sad it's going to be. And it's really intense, but really moving and really beautiful and really well done. And I do think it's worth it, but it needs to come with a warning label that it is rather intense to read at times. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is Supergirl. Supergirl finally got her own new series last year, and I was very excited to see that. Supergirl hasn't had an ongoing in a long time. Obviously, she had the miniseries One of Tomorrow, but other than that, they've seemed kind of shy of using her. I think they just feel that she's a hard sell for whatever reason. And one of the things that really excited me about this series was reading interviews with the writer-artist Sophie Campbell and how clear it is that she is a big, big fan of Supergirl, that she loves this character. And that is shockingly rare if you go through the history of Supergirl and all the people that have written her. Very rarely do you get somebody that is a fan, that does like her, that is excited by her history. That's why every run is kind of a reinvention of the character and her mythos, and why she doesn't have much in the way of a consistent supporting cast, a consistent rogues gallery. It's because every writer that comes on doesn't really like what was there before, and so they kind of get rid of it all and kind of do their own thing, which is interesting in its own way, but it makes Supergirl kind of hard. It makes her hard to write, and it makes her hard to find an audience, because she's kind of a different character every time. So one of Sophie Campbell's goals is to bring back supporting characters, bring back classic villains, and kind of form a new kind of network of characters around Supergirl, both new and old. And I really respect that. It's really exciting as a Supergirl fan who is pretty familiar with her history, and to see all the various ways it shows up in this run is really fun. Sometimes confusing because Sophie is reinventing a lot of characters. She's not necessarily doing sequels to classic Supergirl stories. She very much is going, here's this character in a new package. That took some getting used to for me. I was a little thrown by that, particularly with Leslie Lar, who is very, very different from what she originally was, but it is still cool to see her. It's obviously a big tone shift for a lot of readers, and I hope that's not turning people away too much, because obviously, thanks to One of Tomorrow, Kara has been sad girl, sad girl trademark for a while. Like she's kind of been in a very melancholic state whenever she would show up, because they're kind of like banking on the accolades and ultimate success of Woman of Tomorrow. It makes sense. This is going for a much more Silver Bronze Age kind of vibe, and so it's much sillier and a bit more over the top and just isn't quite the same tone as Woman of Tomorrow. And I'm a little worried that's turning people off. I hope it's not. But it is a barrier for entry. But what sort of helped me with this series is I saw a comment on Reddit who described this series as a really great Lost Saturday morning cartoon. And that really put me in the correct headspace for it, I think, because I totally see what they mean and what they're talking about. And I agree. This is like a really great Saturday morning cartoon. It's really fun. It's got great characterization. The art's really fun. I really like Sophie Campbell's art. She doesn't draw every issue. Sometimes other artists come in, but I love when she does. And I decided to showcase this issue, like this, to be my visual aid, because this is the issue where she goes to like a goth club. And so you get to see like Kara in like goth gear. And I just thought that looked amazing. But no, I really like this series. I love that Supergirl has a book again, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. So yeah, that's my list of my favorite new comics of 2025. Let me know what you think of those specific titles if you've read them. Absolutely try to seek them out and read them if you haven't. And let me know what series you guys really enjoyed in 2025. Particularly Marvel stuff, or maybe something from like, Image or Dark Horse or one of these other companies that I need to read more. If there's anything that you guys are like, this is really great stuff and you need to read it, feel free to let me know that as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I guess I'll see you in another video. Bye.